The continuous application of fertilizers is a misunderstanding of the soil ecosystem, because if you look at a living soil ecosystem, we understand that everything that is needed to produce the upwards of 150 to 200 different micro and trace nutrients are readily available in the soil ecosystem. And so by feeding the soil ecosystem, which is simply by providing a diversity of organic matter, and I really don't like to have just straw or just birch or just maple. I prefer to have a mix of organic matter as much as possible. And to keep it a bit more aesthetic, I'll try and put a nice clean layer of one type on top so it looks better. But you want a diversity of organic matter sources to feed a diversity of organic organisms in the soil. By doing this, they are continually growing and dying, and through that cycle, they are producing the availability of nutrients that your plants require. So we don't need to get in there and try and intervene with fertilizers. What we can do is we can apply compost teas or compost extracts in specific doses, and even sometimes I'll put a little bit of a dose of good quality compost or good quality vermicompost on my plants at certain times of the year, but I'm not looking at a continuous fertilizer regime. My main focus in looking at fertility is ensuring that you have ample mulch, because if you think about the organisms being the suppliers of fertilizer, well, as soon as they're out of food, they're going to die back or go dormant or actually migrate to a different area. And so the fact that you have lost the food supply breaks down this entire fertility chain. So the most important thing for you is not to make compost, but it's to put the ingredients of compost near the soil that you want to be fertilized so that the compost organisms can be biodegrading all of this nitrogen and carbon material in situ where it's needed so that the nutrient cycling is continually active. Yes, production of compost is important and good for certain reasons, but having a living soil that is continually going through that aerobic composting decomposition process is even more important than making sure that you continually add compost to your soil. I see too many organic farmers who are, first of all, not doing the proper soil management. So they're having till-based organic agriculture that still has plenty of pests, plenty of diseases, and all kinds of other issues that they then use, sulfur sprays or copper or calcium dustings and different things like this to actually treat the pests and disease instead of looking at that soil ecosystem. If you are looking at the soil ecosystem and you realize, oh, we need carbon and organic matter in compost, and you're dealing with, an acre, 2 acres, 1,000 acres, the cost of this becomes prohibitive. So people are not going to actually buy the required amounts of compost to do so. So we don't want to look at compost application to just replace fertilizer application. That's not the way this needs to be done. We need to build living soil ecosystems so that the compost application can be done periodically when it's specifically needed, but not as a regular practice, because the cost of that is just absolutely through the roof when you're dealing with large volumes. What can be done instead is using something like compost tea, which is a product that you produce with good quality compost, and we'll go over the basics of what that is later on in this chapter. But what we want to do with that is to inoculate, so this means to bring the beneficial fungi and bacteria from the compost tea brew, add them to our raw green material and brown material which we have on our soil, and they will then colonize that soil and begin the decomposition process. So we're essentially turning our soil into a living composting system throughout the entirety of our market garden, our farm, or whatever it is that you are working on.